Hey everyone, my name is Pixel, and welcome back for another episode of Tiny Bunny. Now, we are on episode 3, On the End, The Wolf's Gray Fur Will Stand. Now, so far, this is the final episode of Tiny Bunny, so we might see a conclusion, we might get it to be continued. So let's go on and let's see where it leads us. He's the one who hated Bobber, and you think he did it? I've heard he's a weirdo. I hurriedly rubbed my glasses. The glasses! Simeon was clutching them in his fist when I was getting beat up, and in just a couple of hours, this lost item was lying on the ledge of my window. It was hard to imagine that Sioma suddenly got guilty conscious and returned my glasses in such a strange way. I was shocked, but kept walking towards the classroom, accompanied by nasty whispers all around me. That photo still stood before my eyes. Simeon has gone missing. Simeon is gone. His fat fingers will never get to my throat. His signet ring won't smash into my chin. He'll never humiliate me again. Wasn't that what I wished for? On the other hand, did I really wish Simeon to become a murky stain on the notice board? He was still someone's son, or a grandson, and he went through the same struggles as me. Sounds like you wished his death upon him. Did I really wish for my unseen companion to dispatch him in such a brutal fashion? Did you? I didn't know the answer, or was I just scared of it? Nonetheless, school still had something nice about it. Paulina, the girl with the violin, was like a mountain spring, like well water that you gulp down, pressing your lips against the zinc outer ring of a bucket, and can't ever get enough. Remembering our walk yesterday cooled off my head. Paulina's hatred towards dogs, while understandable, was still alarming. Could a charming girl like her really be nesting something so repulsive inside her heart? I immediately remembered my dad's shady past that recently resurfaced. A person I idolized was the reason for us moving to this bleak countryside. At least he was, according to Mom's screams that were coming from the other side of the wall. Still, Paulina tried to defend me from a delinquent gang, even if she failed at it. She was pleading for Romka to leave me alone and gathered my belongings that were strewn about the forest while fighting tears. And when those bastards tried to drag her away, she resisted with all the might she had in her fragile body. In the end, she was the one to find my house lost among the taiga, and told my dad that I lied there alone in the dark, abandoned in the middle of the forest after the beating. Maybe I'm being too harsh on her. What if I make her one of the characters in the story I'll draw? The protagonist will save her from terrifying monsters. As soon as I thought of the monsters, a bunch of my classmates slid down the rails, smirking like the xenomorphs from the Alien. I immediately felt larva of fear writhe in my stomach. I didn't want to cross paths with Romka and Biasha after what happened yesterday, especially since Simeon suddenly went missing. Paulina seemed eager to talk to me, but her expression soured after noticing the aforementioned duo, and she walked past, leaving me a single sorry look. She doesn't like them either. They had dragged her off. I entered the classroom and went toward the last row. All the chatterers suddenly died down as I walked there in complete silence. It felt like my classmates pushed and poked me with their stares. They carefully observed my every move. They looked at me with a mortifying mix of pity, ridicule, and derision, like a scientist looks at an ugly representative of a newfound species of worms. I stared at the desk with a huge pile of library textbooks on top, my fists clenched. It felt like I was the one who disappeared in that snowy forest, and my desk was finally used for something worthwhile. Simeon's empty chair stood in front of me. The chair that once belonged to Vova gathered dust somewhere in another classroom. Yeah, let's sit down. Let's sit down at our desk. Let's learn for the day. After a moment of hesitation, I sat down at Bobrin's desk, the place where I was supposed to be assigned by Lilia Pavlovna at first. The chatter resumed, as if someone just unpaused a movie. Bobrin's grandma made such a fuss when he didn't return home. First she ran to the school, then called the cops. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, shut up. Katya snuck a cunning glaze at me, then leaned into our neighbor and whispered something. Girls from the second row also leaned in. She shared something with them, too. Whispers, nods. I kept catching her stare on myself. Her neighbor stared, too. The whole class was watching me. It was like they felt they need to watch me because they were searching for traces of blood on my fingers. I wanted to defend myself and shout, "Guys, listen, I'm innocent." The delinquents turned around and stared at me in silence. Their looks were dripping with malice. But why? What did I do to them? Their friend went missing and they're still focused on me? Suddenly, I noticed Biasha drilling a hole in my nose with his eyes. It felt like he was about to point his finger at me and shout at the top of his lungs, "Everyone look! Bobberin snatched his glasses yesterday, and now he has them back! Murderer!" But he remained silent, as if there was nothing special at all about my glasses. I may be going mad, but I think Biasha knows something. He knows something, but he won't tell me what. Roma gave me a meaningful glance, as if reminding me of his promise. My aching temple reminded me of it. I needed to stay away from Paulina. As if looking for protection, I clutched the ruler until my hand hurt. You don't have to be Columbo to solve this. Who held a grudge against Bobberin? Who hit him yesterday? Bullied him? And then the metal ruler fell out of my weak fingers. It hit the floor with a jingle, and that made the other kids shudder. Oh yeah, turn back around. Face the board. Katya bit her tongue and squirmed nervously. Chairs scraped across the floor. My classmates moved away from me, closer to the exit, towards the teacher's desk. I was not the only one to catch wind of that change. Romka and Biashia looked around and winced in contempt. Too bad they weren't afraid of me like everyone else. Shut it. I bet you Bobberin just got a whipping from his old hag and ran off. They'll find him soon. They'll find him, all right. In a ravine, with his stomach cut open. I gulped. I imagined Sioma on a snowy blanket, his face white like a fish belly, split down the middle by the crevice of his mouth, snowflakes falling on his glassy eyes and filling up his throat. See, I could almost hear his condescending tone. It's all your fault. But why was Simeon the one to get his just desserts for bullying me? Weren't all of them supposed to disappear? Romka, Biasha, Katya, along with every laughing onlooker? Of course, Simeon did me a favor by disappearing. Thanks to him, my classmates now stared at me in awe. But that was only one side of the coin. What if I'll have to repay that favor soon? The door creaked. Paulina entered the classroom. I straightened up in a hurry so she wouldn't see me looking like a scared critter. Paulina found me with her eyes, gave me a short nod, and went to her seat. Katya rushed to her neighbors again like a lab rat that saw a treat and started whispering, switching her gaze between me and Paulina. Messages on pieces of paper started jumping around the classroom. The ringer's trill announced the start of the class. All right, stop messing around. Class, stand up. You too, Petrov. Lilia Pavlovna went to her desk, followed by a policeman in a uniform. It was the man that visited us just recently, tall, and his stare so sharp you could get cut on it. Hello there, kids. Hi. You can sit down, kids. This is Senior Lieutenant Konstantin Vladimirovich Tikhonov. I definitely butchered that. He's going to ask you a couple questions and give you a small PSA. The class livened up. Talking to a policeman was way better than studying. I, on the other hand, was ready to sit through hundreds of hours of Russian literature just to escape the lieutenant's oppressive stare. His brown eyes felt around the classroom, looking for me. Hair stood on the back of my neck and an icicle had lodged in my gut. Is it true that Bobberin got killed by a serial killer? Shush, Ekaterina. Let the adults ask questions here. We're all scared. Maybe the killer is somewhere close. Maybe they're even sitting among us. Her sly stare was directed at me. Tikhonov stepped between the rows of desks and started walking at an excruciatingly slow pace, brushing his fingers against the chairs as he passed by. Some of the students almost broke their necks following his movements. That's how a crowd of commoners would gleefully anticipate a public execution in the Middle Ages. And he just walked, getting closer and closer to me, I gritted my teeth to stop myself from screaming. Calm down. Breathe. You didn't kill or kidnap anyone. He already knew the answer to his question, but the policeman still asked in a stern voice. Anton Petrov. Yes? Stand up, Petrov. My muscles turned to stone. I got up, unglued myself from the chair. I felt like I could hear all my joints creak in the process. I only wished that Polina wouldn't turn around and see the grimace of horror on my face. If only I could be somewhere far away, in the forest, digging myself into a snow pile, rolling up into a ball there. The officer stared at me as if he was about to lock a pair of handcuffs on my wrist. I wonder how cold these bracelets are to the touch. I imagine myself getting jailed and pulled into the juvenile detention center, where tens of simians would constantly harass me. I don't know anything. I have nothing to do with this. Nobody's accusing you of anything. For now. Only then I noticed a file that said case number in his hand. It had a gray cover, made from a rough carton. It flopped onto the desk like a guillotine blade that slid down on someone's neck. With a measured motion, Tikhonov opened the file, still studying me with his gaze. I caught a glimpse of documents and photos. They showed prints on the snow. They looked like animal prints. Have you talked to Semyon Barbarin before? I only knew him for a day. Everyone knows that Petrov hated him. I turned red. You ugly bitch. I wanted to sink my teeth into Katya's face and chew out her cheek. Instead, I replied with the calmest voice I could muster. We had a fight yesterday, but he started it. So I hit him. How hard did you hit him? Not that hard. I waved my hand indecisively. Tikhonov looked at my fist as if he was surprised that I managed to hit the big kid from the photo. Surprisingly, Lilia Pavlov came to my rescue. Barbarin is a troubled teen, a true pain in the rear, always picking fights with the other kids. Yeah, that's right. The officer replied with a meaningful nod and fished out a notebook out of the file. Oh, what you gonna show me this time? Algebra. From the backpack. Is this yours? I averted my gaze. It was a math tech notebook with my name on it. My classmates devoured me greedily with their eyes. It felt like even the writers on the portraits squinted at me in suspicion. Yes? We found it in the forest, in the area where the tractor driver who was plowing snow there last saw Barbarin. I started blinking in bewilderment. Romka ransacked my school bag. This notebook probably just got lost somewhere in the bushes. The lieutenant knew about the school brawl, but he was aware of the fight. But was he aware of the fight in the forest clearing? I had witnesses that could testify to Semyon and I walking in different directions after that. I looked towards the boys, hopeful. Yeah, like they're gonna help you. Romka, who sat behind Tikhonov, put a finger to his lips. And when the officer quickly turned around, he pretended to pick on his nose. I deciphered his signal. Boys like Romka would probably say something like, snitches get stitches, in a situation like this. I frantically fixed my glasses. Wait, Semyon took them away yesterday, but now they're... So what were you doing in the forest yesterday, Anton? I go to school through the forest. It could have easily fallen out of my bag. Easily? Just like me producing this half-truth? Yeah, you got that right. Be careful out there. Before I could realize whether it was a genuine piece of advice or a veiled threat, the teacher said, Class, the officer will now tell you about some rules you should follow. So the killer does exist. We can't make any of this public for now. Whether the criminal really exists or not, you should probably be mindful of your safety. The police, your parents, and your teachers all watch over you, but no one guards you better than yourself. Alright, any questions? A stockade of arms rose from the desk. The kids shouted over each other, swarming the policeman with questions. In an attempt to calm down the chorus, he moved toward the blackboard. The gray file was left lying in front of me. I stared at it, my breathing so ragged that I might have looked like someone who just ran a 100-meter sprint. Beads of sweat rolled down my back. I looked around the classroom. My classmates were catching officers' every word. Only Romka was saying something to Biasha. Lilia Pavlovna was staring into the window, fighting back yawns. Let's open this. As soon as I touched the folder, Tikhonov lashed at me with his eyes. My hand instinctively moved away as if that stare actually hurt. The officer just kept staring at me without saying a word, making me squirm under the weight of this uncomfortable silence and the sneering looks of my classmates. And then he suddenly continued his speech as if nothing ever happened. Oh, I gotta wait until he's looking away. That's it. Nobody paid me any mind, so I slowly opened the file. My fingers started sifting through the documents. Sina Tavlevla, 6 years old. Man, I'm butchering these names. Left her home sometime in December. Identifying features? Okay. My heart almost jumped out from the ribcage. A round-faced girl no older than Olya stared at me from the photo. The first victim of the serial killer? The first child to disappear in the forest without a trace? I turned another page. Vladimir Matyukin, 10 years old. Vova was the second. His mitten hanging from the branch. His name called out by desperate adults, repeated by the sneering echo. Lilia Pavlovna coughed, trying to calm down the rowdy students. I yanked my hand away, and the file closed. All right, buddy. Yeah, that's right. Turn around. I clenched my teeth from surprise, pushed myself in the back of my chair, blinking in bewilderment. The officer silently gathered the documents and gave me a stern look. Well, aren't you a curious boy, Petrov? Well, you know what? You shouldn't have left it on my desk, bruh. That's your own fault. Let me say this again. If you see anyone suspicious in the village, be it near the school or on the forest trail, contact the police immediately. You know our number, right? 02. Thanks for listening, boys and girls. Thank you, Lilia Pavlovna. And we'll find your classmate. Yeah, right, a thought flashed through my mind. Dig through enough ditches and maybe I'll be able to piece them together, like Legos. My thoughts turned evil for some reason, and I couldn't control them. I tried to switch to Lieutenant's speech about suspicious individuals. What if I saw the killer before? What if I was a hair's breadth away from them? Suspicious people? How suspicious was the fox girl that wandered into the darkness? A weirdo that always appears out of nowhere and then dissolves into thin air with her riddles and rhymes. Could she really harm the hulking simian? Should I tell the officer about her? What if lives of other kids depend on this? Of the cute Sinya, and Vova too? What if I get mocked for speaking out? What if they'll start whispering behind my back? Or what's even worse, think that I'm insane? Romka gave me a stern look over the shoulder. I doubt someone like him would approve of cooperating with the police. Katya's braid dangled nervously behind the delinquent sitting in front of me. My hand was glued to the desk. Tikhonov was saying goodbye to Lilia Pavlovna. He was about to leave. It'll be too late soon. Yes, Fox girl. Fox girl. She bad. Watch her. I unglued my palm from the tabletop. I need to warn him. At the very least, for Olya's sake, to assure her safety in the house near the squeaky pines. I raised my hand, heavy as a dumbbell. Excuse me. Lord, everybody. No, not everybody. Just the 4 people that I've met before. Almost 24 heads turned my way. My teacher, the officer, Polina. Katya shoved an elbow into her friend's side. Sleepy Biasha stuck out his neck. Romka frowned inquiringly. I'm listening. It felt like I was being studied under a microscope. Yesterday, when I was walking to school in the morning, I saw an unfamiliar person. My classmates started whispering. Tikhonov frowned, a deep wrinkle adorning the space between his eyebrows. There's no way he'd be able to tell if it was an outsider or a local. He just moved to our village. The other kid smirked. Katya flashed an evil smile. Calm down. Can you describe them in more detail, Anton? Then it dawned on me. I can do more than describe them. What I can do, I can draw them. I know how to draw. Kind of. After spitting out this confession, I expected everybody to laugh, but that didn't happen. Even Katya stayed silent. Polina tilted her head and studied me with an intrigued look on her face. I was pleased by this wave of attention. It made me feel bolder, so I asked, Do you want me to? Tikhonov slowly nodded. Lilia Pavlovna, we'll conduct a bit of an experiment here, all right? Of course, of course. I took out a pen, flattened out a sheet of paper. We're gonna draw Alyssa. My classmates stared at me in anticipation. Polina smiled, and it was the best reward I could get for my boldness. Well, go on, Van Gogh. Draw. Van Gogh. Ah, shoot, I gotta pick out parts. Yeah, those eyes. No, no, no. Yes. 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 Oh, wait, no. Yeah, that's how she looked. That's her face. Here. I handed my drawing to the officer. What's this? A fox? Very funny. Should we send a pack of hunting dogs on its trail? It felt like the window started shaking from everybody's laughter. Even Lilia Pavlovna couldn't help it. That's not it. Hey, Petrov, maybe you also met with Cheburashka. Hilarious. Simply hilarious. I was burning at the stake of shame. Case closed, I guess. Tikhonov crumpled my drawing in his fist. Well, I'll be going. He left. So much for that. The bell rang. Nut job. Shut up, bitch. I didn't move. I just kept staring into space. Lilia Pavlovna passed by without looking my way. Polina left after her. My classmates went silent at the same time, as if someone muted the sound on a TV. They followed me with their eyes the whole time I was passing between the rows. Judgmental looks. I felt like I was in the scopes of mini sniper rifles. I squeezed through the barricade made of desks, looking for Polina. But I stumbled into my new buddies instead. Romka swaggered up to me. Decided to rat us out to the cops. I didn't say anything. But it sure as fuck thought about it, eh? Romka towered over me, breathing out a faint smell of tobacco. You're very wrong if you think that without Xioma you'll have a better time here. You can stop your weird act trying to impress Polina with your doodles or acting like a loony. We'll make this place hell for you, got it? Back the fuck up. See you, Four Eyes. My head tilted forward from his slap. What a loser, eh? I wasn't surprised to find a note stuck to my back during the break. It said, kick me. My nightmare clearly wasn't about to end. Nope. Seems like that nightmare is just beginning. So that is where we are going to leave it off for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this was probably a bit of a shorter episode. Not very much happened, but we did get a bit of info on Xioma and why he went missing. And we are definitely going to find out more in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, feel free to like the video. You want to see more content like this? You want to follow along with this story? Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, get notified whenever other episodes come out. Thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.